Have you just learned about jewelry, or are you ready to dive deeper? If you're curious about jewelry design and jewelry making but don't know where to begin, you're in the right place. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how a piece of jewelry is made, step by step, from design all the way to polishing. And by the end of this video, I bet you'll feel confident enough to make your own piece of jewelry right at home. Let's make this pendant together. To keep the process simple and easy to follow, I've broken it down into the most essential steps. Let's take a look at them, and I'll walk you through each one. First, we start with the design. Next is wax carving. Then we build a wax tree. After that, create a plaster mold. Then casting the silver. And the last step is polishing. Alright, let's get started. The first thing is design. I know you don't want just random shapes, you want something meaningful, something that truly represents you, right? Trust me, it is not as complicated as it might seem. As a jewelry designer, let me show you a simple, step-by-step way to design a pendant. I'll break it down into 4 steps. Step 1, category. Decide what you want to make. Ring, earring, pendant, just pick one you love to start with. And today we're gonna make a pendant, and that's it, easy peasy. Step 1 is done. Step 2, keywords. This step is all about finding a few keywords that will guide our design. Think of words that capture what you want to express. For example, this pendant. I want this pendant to represent courage and perseverance. But that sounds so abstract, right? Hard to draw. So let's dig deeper. Why do I want to express this? Because I want to capture my feelings and wishes. Since quitting my stable job to become a freelancer, I've sometimes felt isolated, like a small boat drifting on an open ocean. What I need is courage and perseverance to keep doing what I love and believe in so I can reach my destination. From that, the keywords are boat, waves, drifting, and ocean. So step 2, complete. Let's move to step 3, elements. Now we need some actual design elements for the pendant. This is where we use our keywords to find pictures and images and then extract design elements from them. But what kind of pictures work best? Let me show you. Look at this tool. Which one is easier to get elements from? This one, right? You can directly use the lines and shapes. The other one is more realistic. To use it, we have to abstract it, which is harder. So, especially if you're a beginner, I recommend choosing pictures where the lines and shapes are clear and easy to work with. Alright, this step is done. Step 4, combination. Now it's time to combine the elements in different ways. Try as many variations as you can until you find a design that feels right. Here's the one I chose. And that's it, we've finished the first big part, design. And I think this is the soul of a piece of jewelry, because now your piece is telling a story. It's not just cold metal anymore. Now let's move on to the making part. The method I'm using for this pendant is called lost wax casting. But don't worry, at the beginning you don't need fancy machines or big equipment like this or this. I'll show you how to do it with the most basic tools, the kind you can buy cheaply or maybe even already have at home. Let me quickly explain the principle of lost wax casting. First, we make a wax model. Then we build a wax tree and pour plaster around it. Once it hardens, we heat the plaster. The wax melts and leaves behind a hollow mold. Then we pour or inject molten metal into the mold. And once it cools, we have our metal casting. Okay, now let's dive in. The first step of making part is wax carving. This is where the design finally comes to life in 3D. Here are the tools and materials you need for this step. The most important tip, make your wax model as smooth as possible. Any curved scratches here will show up later in the silver. Once the carving is done with the wax model, this tells us exactly how much silver we'll need for casting. And then making a wax tree. We attach the wax model to a base. This forms a small tree structure which called a wax tree. Then creating the plaster mold. The mixing ratio of plaster powder to water is usually 1 to 0.38. After pouring the plaster, you'll notice air bubbles inside. Just tap the board gently to release them. Then place it aside and wait for the plaster to fully harden. Once it's set, remove the base and heat the mold in an oven. Yes, the regular home oven works. This step dries the plaster and melts out the wax, leaving us with a hollow mold. Then casting the silver. But before we cast, we need to prepare everything. First, calculate the silver you need. For example, if your wax is 1 gram multiplied by 10, that means that you need about 10 grams of silver. Always prepare a little extra just in case. Next, open the oil clay and have it ready for use. We need to reheat the plaster mold once more to make sure it's completely dry. This step is very important, otherwise the casting won't work. And then melt the silver together with a little borax, which helps the metal flow smoothly. Once it's fully liquid, quickly press it into the mold using the oil clay to create pressure. Hold it steady for about 10 seconds. This step needs to be done fast. And that's it. Now we have silver in the exact shape of our pendant. The very last step is polishing. Here it is, the finished pendant, from design to wax to silver. This is the complete process of making a piece of jewelry, and I truly believe you can do the same. Alright, thanks for watching this video. If it inspired you, let me know in the comments. And until next time, stay true to yourself, keep moving forward. Bye for now!